Thanks for the introduction, and I'll get this session started just in the interest of time. It's going to be the binational cluster focus on bioindustrial innovation. We've got 4 speakers. I'm going to hold them to 10 minutes each just because we do have a time constraint on this, and I want to make sure we get done in time and have a bit of time for questions. So the first speaker is Don McCabe. Just to give you, Don is a farmer and the VP of Ontario Federation of Agriculture. He farms here in Lambton County, and he travels a little bit occasionally. Those that know Don, then Don, has had a doctorate level education in soil genesis and classification from the University of Guelph and a chemistry degree from the University of Western Ontario. And he became a leading advocate for environmental farming stewardship in the areas of air, water, biodiversity, and climate change. And I would say more recently he's a real advocate for the bioindustrial side and how we can build a new industry around the agricultural sector with biomass and converting biomass to value-added products. With that, Don, I'll give you the floor.
First of all, I need to set some ground rules. Definition of a farmer. A lot of folks out there figure old McDonald's still standing around with a pitchfork. Some people refer to some types of farmers as cash crop. That could be me. I am a corn, soybean, wheat farmer. I do no-till. I have been in beef. I did fruits and veggies when I was a kid. I had to collect eggs when I was 6. I hate chickens because they peck my hands. I'd like to retire to a pineapple plantation, but this is in reality what every farmer does, and I don't care where they are, whether they're in China, Czechoslovakia, Canada, United States, Uruguay, it doesn't matter. We're managers of carbon and nitrogen cycles with input from the water cycle to produce starch, oil, protein, fuel, fiber, and energy for worldwide consumers at the highest quality, while preserving animal habitat, improving air quality, improving soil quality, improving water quality. We just got to get paid for something. And yet you consider the measure to be how many houses you can build on what we need to feed you with. Houston, we got a problem. Because here's a plant, and it's a biomass, and it doesn't matter now whether it's maple trees or corn stalks or pineapples, it doesn't matter, it's plant material. It's all made up of the same things. And on the outside of that plant cell wall, you've got lignin to give strength. In the very center of those plant cells, you've got C6 sugars, or glucose, which is very important, because that's the same thing as what makes that pop back there nice and sweet. It's the same sugar. It's the same sugars that come out of sugar beets. Mother Nature's given us a lot of different ways to get what we need. And holding that C6 sugar to the lignin is C5 sugars. This is the new world of where we can find some opportunities. Here's the eye chart and the colorful slide that nobody can read. Bottom line, take a look at the left-hand side. Starch, hemicellulose, cellulose, lignin, oil, protein. Far side, everything you want in your house and more, and everything that's going to go into your car and everything else. The conversion pathways are there, the building blocks are there. These are the industries of tomorrow. These are the industries of today. It's the issue of building the supply chains now to get her done. Now, if I was to do what I normally do in most of the commodity things that I participate in, I take the price when I like it, and I sell directly to a plant. Bottom line, right-hand corner, $129.27 would be the price per dry ton. Please do not quote that as the price of corn stalks. These are all estimated figures and are only for comparison purposes. Bottom line, if farmers were just to go out and say, this is what I need based on harvesting and how much yield I've got and all the rest of it, I can move these figures around, but I would come down to roughly that kind of a number. If I was to turn this into a cooperative where I said, look, what if I sell this and I become part of the cooperative, what does my return on equity look like? 4.3%. There's not a lot of businesses out there that do anything for 4.3%. And therefore, if we start looking at the longer term here, I need to get engaged in this system because the return on investment is going to increase if the price of corn stover goes down, and the price of corn stover will go down depending on yield, and in other years when there's not yield, because Mother Nature always wins in my line of work. The issue is then there's going to be lower return on investment because people are going to have to pay more. It makes for good sense across the board on what's going to happen here. But on the same token, I can look at a number of factors here that are controllable on my side. I'm always going to ship out nutrient. I'm always going to be hampered by the weather on what the nutrients are. But 10 out of the top 15 supply chain cost influences are actually on how do I bale this stuff, how do I proceed to move it to market, all the rest of it. That I can help to move this supply chain to new opportunities, and the baling operation is one of the highest places I need to look at, and I can actually probably take $22 a ton out of these things if I get the chance to properly establish this cooperative. And that means that we said, let's stop and take a look at this cooperative now in a different light. Let's go back to what normal business would look for, and that's a 15% return on investment. And what does that do to the price of corn stover? Well, now we start at the bottom of the graph. If we want things fixed to 15%, we're going to pay out the other end then $110.52 versus that $129 before. But if I'm an investor in this cooperative as one of the producers for it, and I'm helping to guarantee supply, I'm going to get my return on dividend on the other side and come out in a much better, more healthy position than if I was to do it strictly as a direct supply co-op. If sugar price increases, guess what? So does the price of my stover. Because corn stalks, excuse me, are 47% sugar. Again, the same sugar that's in that pot, the same sugar that just made your coffee taste a little bit better. It's all the same sugar. It's just that we don't know how to eat a corn stalk. Ruminants do, but now we have technology that'll make it happen. I need to work with the technology providers to get that cellulosic sugar mill. I need to find the offtake partners like BioAmber and others to take that sugar. And at the end of the day, I do believe the opportunity is here. We're looking to make sugar from biomass a new commodity. And it's not to replace the other sugar that's naturally coming from corn already. It's the fact that there's 9 billion people coming for dinner in 2050. I know we can feed them. I know we can clothe them. And if they're anything like the current, again, relatives that I have, they'll expect me to have the dishes and do them when it's done. So in my case, they're going to be disposable, made out of cornstarch. Thank you.